Hello and welcome to the April 2021 Palouse Driver Safety Workshop. Thank you for joining us today. This workshop is brought to you by the Palouse Regional Transportation Planning Organization. My name is Julia and I hope everyone is having a great day, staying safe on our roadways as well as staying safe through this pandemic. We're excited to share this workshop with you today as we explore the importance of preventing drunk and impaired driving and making sure everyone stays safe on our roadways. So with that in mind, I would like to remember you booze, you cruise, and ultimately lose. I want to first share some recent headlines that have rocked our community over the past years to show just really how one person's single decision has an impact that no one can truly understand until it is done and has such a great impact on so many members of our community. I first want to start by sharing a report when last July, 3 people were taken to the hospital after the driver lost control and caused the car to crash into a ditch in the early morning hours. According to police reports, this car was a single vehicle crash and was caused by the driver being under a controlling substance, meaning that it also could have been prevented if that driver was not behind the wheel while underneath the control of that substance. I would also like to share the next story when last May, an alleged drunk driver struck another vehicle from behind, forcing it into the Snake River. This again was being caused by a drunk driving incident and could have been prevented just as well with preventing drunk driving. And most importantly, we want to reflect on how just one decision can have a lifetime of consequences that no one can understand until it is done. We'd like to reflect back when in 2007, 3 Washington State University students lost their lives when their car collided with a drunk driver on the Moscow-Pullman Highway. When the students lost their lives, the driver was also sentenced to 14 years in prison. This incident had such a deep impact on the community and still does today. As you'll see when you are driving on this highway, you'll see a sign in remembrance of their 3 names, reminding everyone to never drink and drive. The driver also had his life immensely altered when he was sentenced to 14 years in prison and recently was released from prison. He has to deal now with these consequences, and in a Moscow Pullman Daily News article, it was quoted saying that he apologized to family members in court by saying, "I'll never know the right things to say to you. I'm not going to stand up here and ask for forgiveness. I don't have the right." This is truly a heartbreaking incident that happened in our community, and our hearts go out to everyone involved in these tragedies and every tragedy, and we hope that you will all help us in preventing further accidents and saving lives by doing your part to prevent drunk driving. I would now like to get into who we are as an organization. We are the Palouse Driver Safety Campaign, partnered with the Palouse Regional Transportation Planning Organization. Our mission here is to promote the Washington Target Zero goal of reaching 0 roadway fatalities by the year 2030 through educating about the dangers of distracted, drowsy, inexperienced, and impaired driving. We aim to make our roadways a safer place for everyone. In this month's workshop, we'll be going in depth into the dangers of drunk driving and what you can do to prevent it. We'll also be sitting down with Washington State Patrol Sergeant Courtney Shawley. We want to thank the Washington State Patrol for being a longtime partner with our organization and working together to make everyone safe on our roadways. I would now like to introduce this video brought to you by the Think, Don't Drink and Drive campaign. You can click on this YouTube link or you can scan this QR code with your smartphone to check out this very informative video. That video was truly an insightful and visual advertisement to show the importance of preventing drinking and driving, because as I stated earlier, the consequences are truly unimaginable and are so wide-reaching and can't be taken back once they are done. We also wanted to share this quote from author Valerie Mendelera, who says, drink and drive, combining the two makes for a tragic mix of poor decision-making, car crashes, injuries, legal problems, and potential life-changing situations. For more information, you can also check out Valerie Mendelera's book on drinking and driving. Next, I wanted to show some quick facts that you might not know. So did you know that every day about 28 people in the United States die from drunk driving crashes? When you do the math, that adds up to one person every 52 minutes. This means that every 52 minutes, a loved one is lost due to an accident that could easily be prevented by simply not drinking and driving. This number also translates to 10,142 deaths in 2019 that were caused by drunk driving. And that was, again, a nationwide statistic. And then to break that down into Washington State, there was 1,921 deaths between the years 2003 and 2012 caused by drunk driving alone. Once again, most of these accidents could be easily prevented by simply not drinking and driving. And all these statistics are also brought by National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information and to check out further resources, you can also check out their website. Next, I would like to get into the science of your brain and how it reacts to alcohol. As you'll see in this graphic here below, your brain reacts to alcohol and causes a chemical reaction that creates slower reaction times, impaired speech and vision, and impaired memory and coordination. So after you've been drinking, while you may feel okay to drive, your body simply is not its normal self and physically cannot react the way that it typically would, hence why drunk driving accidents are so dangerous. I would next like to share how impaired driving is explained through a cultural perspective. This cultural perspective is something that is not normally talked about when talking about drunk driving, but the more you look into it, the more you realize how common drunk driving is seen through our culture, explored through many celebrities, books, music, and movies. As you'll see in this headline, singer Justin Bieber was arrested on drunken driving charges back in 2014. He is one of multiple celebrities that have been convicted of a DUI and as they are such public figures that so many people look up to, it just brings this issue into even more light. I also would like to share multiple artists that have positively talked about drunk driving. In Cole Wessel's song titled Drunk Driving, he speaks about driving around drunk. I would also like to share the song Death Cab for Cutie, Champagne from a Paper Cup, where the lyrics say, "I'm drunk enough to go home now." And finally, in the song by Kid Cudi entitled Pursuit of Happiness, it states, "I don't care, driving drunk, doing my thing." All of these lyrics talk about drunk driving, which ultimately influences the public. This is something to just bring your mind aware to and to keep in mind when listening to these media forms, just to see how they truly affect our culture. I would next like to introduce this graph showing the number of alcohol-related versus non-alcohol-related highway vehicle fatalities between the years 2001 and 2010. These statistics are brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. As you'll see in this graph below, there is a large percent of fatalities involving alcohol and almost equal to the fatalities not involving alcohol. You'll see these numbers hover around 40% over these past 10 years, meaning that 40% of all vehicle fatalities were related to alcohol over these 10 years. 40% is such a large number, especially considering how many of these are easily prevented by just making a single decision to never get behind the wheel when intoxicated. Next, I would also like to share these statistics and facts looking at the number of alcohol-impaired driving crashes between the years 2008 and 2017. So as you'll see here, this shows that over the past 10 years, the trend has gone down slightly to 34% in 2017, meaning that there are less fatalities than there were due to alcohol, but still such a large number. 34%, that is over 1/3 of vehicle fatalities are related to alcohol-impaired crashes. With odds like that, it is best to not risk it and just never get behind the wheel when intoxicated. I would now like to introduce our special guest, Sergeant Courtney Shawley from the Washington State Patrol. We want to again thank Sergeant Shawley for his time in serving our community and taking the time to sit down with us today to discuss the importance of preventing drunk driving. We also want to again thank the Washington State Patrol for all they do to keep our community safe and partnering with our organization to ensure everyone stays safe on the roadways.
Shawley. I'm a sergeant with the Washington State Patrol. I've been serving here in this capacity on the Palouse, both as a trooper and as a sergeant for almost 16 years. And I've been a resident on the Palouse here for that entire time. Right now, in my capacity as a sergeant, I run the Colfax detachment. I oversee 8 troopers, and we patrol all the almost 300 miles of state highways here in Whitman County.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know I speak on myself on behalf of all of our community members. Thank you for what you do every day to keep our community safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Greatly appreciate that.
No, thank you. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind kind of going into, in your experience, how you've seen drunk driving kind of affect communities and kind of the lives that have been impacted by that.
Unfortunately, drunk driving and the devastation that it does cause is a reality. The troopers work exceptionally hard, especially here in Whitman County, to identify and remove impaired drivers before they cause a tragedy out on our state highways, out on our roadways. Specifically, and unfortunately, I've seen firsthand the devastation that drunk drivers do cause on our roadways, just the absolute tragedies, family members that are gone, and the follow-up that we do with those families after the tragedy has occurred. It's hard to explain. It's hard to put into words. And unfortunately, there's probably some people that are watching today that I probably picked a scab that has been healed, and bringing back these just awful, horrible memories of losing a loved one or loved ones because the causing driver was impaired. And when we say impaired, we're not only talking about drunk driving as the typical definition of alcohol, we're also talking about drug usage, especially in the state of Washington that has legalized marijuana. Marijuana impaired driving arrests have skyrocketed in our state.
Yeah, that topic of all drug use and all impaired driving is really interesting. Do you see more DUIs handed out based off of alcohol or marijuana consumption or another controlling substance?
Right now, we're seeing it's about equal. When we do a blood draw, a legal blood draw, if a search warrant for a DUI arrest, the state toxicology lab is testing both for alcohol and for marijuana, and there is a high correlation that both of those drugs are in the system of the driver that was arrested.
Okay, gotcha. Is there a specific instance that you can think of that just comes to the top of your mind that really stands out as something like maybe a drunk driving altercation or an impaired driving thing that really stuck with you throughout the years?
Well, I think in a way they all stick with us. Remember, we are interacting with the family, and as a sergeant, I'm responsible to going to make the next of kin notification with the chaplain, and they all stick out in my mind. It's the absolute worst news you can give a family. And most recently, we had a tragedy that involved an underage drinker. He was severely intoxicated, and he lost his life. And when he rolled his pickup truck, and 18 years old, highly intoxicated, he had his whole life ahead of him. Came from a phenomenal family, and just think about the tragedy that mom and dad, the grandparents, family, additional family, and friends are now experiencing, because that life is gone. You can't get it back, all because of intoxication. Sadly to say, it's 100% preventable. His life is gone, and it should still be here.
Yeah, that's just so heartbreaking to hear. And I couldn't even imagine being in your position, having to tell those families and do that. I know in my personal experience, I lost a friend to someone. He wasn't drunk driving, but he was involved in a head-on collision with a drunk driver. And it's just truly heartbreaking just to hear how preventable these things can be and how many lives are lost.
Mhm.
Do you see more intoxicated drivers within a specific age group, or is it kind of varied throughout the county?
It varies throughout the county. I do know, as we're all aware of, Washington State University, and just 8 miles away across the state line is the University of Idaho. We're all fully aware that the 18 to 22-year-old age bracket sometimes thinks they're invincible. There is a lot of alcohol usage, and I think most residents in both Latah and Whitman County, and both, especially in Pullman, city of Pullman, and the city of Moscow, they would say, yeah, the college kids are drinking tonight. We know the parties are taking place, and so on and so forth. So it is prevalent on our college campuses, not only here, but all across the nation. So hopefully by bringing some awareness and hopefully through education, we can have people making better choices. And hopefully, I mean, a life saved is a life saved. And if we can make a difference in at least one person's life to make a positive choice, then we've done something, which is a positive.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That's especially targeting the college age group is something really important to our campaign, and our main goal is actually to target the college age and young adults that maybe going through this time. And I know personally for me, I'm a college student, so I definitely understand kind of that atmosphere, and I think that it's really important that we speak to them specifically. Would you have any advice to college students who may find themselves kind of in a difficult situation where maybe their friend is thinking about going and driving, or they might be, or they can't find a ride home? Do you have any advice for difficult situations like that?
You know, we get asked that quite frequently, and the bottom line is when you are riding in a vehicle and the driver is intoxicated, under the influence of alcohol or drugs, you're basically gambling with your life. It's a 50-50 whether you're going to make it there safely or something's going to happen, and God forbid, a tragedy. So the bottom line is that's where you have to step up and you have to say, no, I'm not going in the car. I'll find another way home. And today, especially with, I would probably guess to say almost every single college student has a cell phone. And especially in Pullman and Moscow, you got great cell phone reception. You can find a ride. Um, you can find somebody to come get you. And both in Moscow and Pullman, they're great communities. It's not like a big metro city like where UW is in downtown Seattle. You're fairly safe walking home if necessary. Bottom line is you're risking your life. Is this how you want your life to end? Is in this sort of a fashion and or manner? And the main message that I would communicate is your life is worth a lot more than that. Who knows? You might be the next Einstein. You might find a cure for cancer. That might be your destiny, and we don't want to lose you. Your life is young, it's beautiful, and you got so much to look forward to. Don't let it end in a tragedy. So you've got to step up, and you've got to say, nope, I'm not getting in that car. I'll find my own way home. I'll make it happen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And thank you so much for that. I feel like that was really touching to me personally, even just now. I was like, wow, yeah. And I hope that it kind of resonates the same with a lot of our other community members, because it's something that's just so important to so many of us. And I would really hate to lose anyone because of that, because it is just so preventable. Sorry, I'm trying to look through the questions. So kind of on the flip side of advice, do you have any advice to parents of either young adults or high school students who are concerned that their child might be in that situation? I know there's probably not an easy way to talk to your child about that, but do you have any advice to go about that?
Bottom line is the parents have to initiate the communication. Don't wait for the school system to do it. Don't wait for your church organization to do it. Don't wait for the police to do it. It is your child. And they're about ready to embark once they graduate from high school on a wonderful time of life. going to the college, going to the university, and where they have an opportunity to spread their wings and 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 experience everything that a university has to experience. But as a parent, you need to visit with your child, probably young adult at this point in high school. We should use that term when they're in high school, and it's more than just a one conversation. It's a continual conversation. Bottom line is you've got to express to your young adult that you love them and you want the best for them, and and ask them. You've got to. This is one area you've got to really listen to me on, because it can happen in a matter of a split second, and it all goes away, and a tragedy occurs, and you're gone from this earth. And so, one thing I can communicate to parents is you've got to talk to your young adult. You've got to communicate, and you don't have to be condemning to do it, and it can be in a great, loving, and compassionate way. But they have parents, and I'm a parent too. Um, you've got to communicate with your sons, daughters, whatever the situation may be.
Yeah, thank you. That's great advice. And yeah, I really hope that that also resonates kind of with all of our community and everyone can work together to keep everyone safe from such an important cause. Do you have any other advice, anything that's really stuck out to you over the years that you would like to kind of communicate to our community members?
The bottom line is troopers are out there to keep our roadways safe. Um, their goal is not to have to respond to these tragedies anymore. That's why we do what we do. We're service oriented. We want to help people, and our biggest running joke is we would like to be bored when we come to work, because driving behavior is great. Nobody's driving impaired, and that's our ideal situation. And we work really hard to try to do a lot of prevention, a lot of education. That's one reason why I took time out of my day to make sure that we can record this and have it communicated. It's not about waiting for something bad to happen. We're in the life-saving business, the prevention business, and the education business, and we're just really hoping that people make the right choice, the safe choice, because everybody that's in a car, that's driving a car, counts on the other person doing the right thing.
Thank you so much for your time. I know that we all really appreciate it. And yeah, we would love to see that. I know for our campaign, the biggest thing that we try to advocate and promote and educate is Washington's Target Zero goal of reaching zero fatalities on the roadways by 2030. And that's something that I think if we all work really hard to do our best to educate ourselves and others, we can really do our part to try and prevent anything like that from happening. So yeah, I just want to say thank you again. And I had one other fun little question that someone submitted. Someone wanted to know your favorite part on the job.
Well, the favorite part on the job is you become a trooper because you're service oriented and you want to help people. And when we can able to do that, that's the best job satisfaction that we can, that as a trooper we can have. So helping people is the best part of the job.
That's great. Well, I don't want to hold you up too more today, but I just want to say thank you again so much, Sergeant Shawley, for all that you do for our community and taking time to sit down. Thank you again to the Washington State Patrol and Sergeant Courtney Shawley for taking time out of their busy schedule to sit down and talk with us. I hope you enjoyed the interview as much as I did. And now we're going to talk about how you can do your part to keep everyone safe on our roadways. The most important thing you can do as a driver, friend, and community member is to make sure that you never get behind the wheel if you've consumed any kind of controlling substance. It is truly one decision that one can make that has a difference on so many lives. So just remember that if you drink, you should never get behind the wheel. With that in mind, it's also very important to have a plan for the night. Designate a sober driver before going out or have a place to spend the night. There's many options when it comes to making sure that you never get behind the wheel if you've been driving or get a ride home with a drunk driver. So make sure to always find a designated sober driver or find a place to stay. You can also always remember to call a friend, family member, taxi, or other ride sharing service in the area. And most importantly, if you are that sober driver, remember to call the police immediately if you suspect someone may be driving drunk. It is extremely important to contact officials immediately if you suspect someone might be drunk and to get a good visual description of the vehicle. It's also extremely important to remember to never get close to the vehicle and try to stop them yourself. While you may want to intervene, it puts you and the other driver at more danger. So remember to just always just call the police and leave it up to the authorities. Next, I would like to list some additional resources. The highlighted in blue links are the ones used throughout this presentation, as well as the ones below are some additional resources that anyone can access at any time for more traffic safety information. You can visit the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration at their website to learn more about the latest safety updates and actions that are happening across the country, as well as what you can do to keep everyone safe on our roadways. You can also check out the Washington State Department of Transportation for the latest traffic safety updates in the state of Washington. And always remember to check out Police Driver Safety and the Palouse Regional Transportation Planning Organization websites for the latest in traffic safety tips, information, and traffic updates. You can also check out the Palouse Driver Safety website for our monthly blogs and podcasts, as well as to check out our social media links and stay connected with us there as well. And finally, thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation and found it educational, and you remember to do your part in preventing drinking and driving and helping everyone get home safe. We all want everyone to do their part in reaching the zero fatalities goal of no fatalities by the year 2030, and we hope that you will do your part in helping us prevent drunk driving. So again, you can always learn more about our campaign and learn more traffic safety tips and traffic updates at our website, as well as you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as add us on Snapchat. You can also actually scan all of these QR codes that will link you to our website and all of our social media handles. Remember, until next time, remember to always stay safe, keep your eyes on the road, never drink and drive, and have a good one. Thanks, guys.